Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do a video on best knife of the year, $500 and over, Brown Knives Mini FSD. I hope you guys have an absolute... Alright, I'm just kidding, but this is the winner of the 500 and up category, the Mini FSD. There really is no other contender in sight here. I personally don't own any other knives over that I bought this year. The only other knife that I own the Evo, and I own a Burger Urban. Those are the only other two knives I own that are over $500, if I'm not mistaken. There's some that are really close, like the Maverick S from Fanatic Edge, the Fanatic Edge Jaeger. That's, I think, it. So I just don't have a lot of knives in that category, and I really don't have many in this sort of CNC custom category, which is where you're getting at with 500 plus customs. The only other knife, like I said, that I own really is the Trevor Burger Urban, and this didn't come out this year. I actually have a lefty version on pre-order, which I'm super excited about. Kind of. Now I'm a little bit like, I'm so used to right-handing it. It's going to be really interesting. Might honestly be weird, but anyway, this is about this knife. So this knife wins. It's fantastic. It's probably going to take knife of the year overall, I think, but we'll see what happens. It just has an amazing locking system. It's called the Brown lock. It's basically a compression style lock with a button attached to it, kind of button lock-ish, but definitely different, and called the Brown lock. It has an actual liner back here. You can kind of see it lock up. Watch. See that? So it has a real detent. Like, it has a detent ball and everything. So unlike button locks, it has a real crisp break. And the way Craig sets these is pretty stiff, and I love it. Fires really well. This one's in, I believe, CPM 154. Plenty for me. I mean, I barely used it anyway. It has a hand ground, hollow grind. Fantastic. I mean, it's basically a left-handed button lock. That's kind of one thing that really draws me to this knife. I always add skiffs to the FSDs, and to me, it works fantastically. I get no side to side. You feel that little bit of up and down, that flex from the lock bar, which Craig assures is normal and fine and doesn't, I've spine whacked with no issues. Absolutely love it. I added a little flare with the black screw here and the black pivot. I took that off my full size. The clip is the best clip ever. The best milled clip I've ever used. It's so flat and simple, and it looks like it would suck, but it's so good. And the reverse flick is just money. I mean, it's just so good. And then you can front flip it off of this right here. And you can also use the flipper to flip it like that. The detent, like I said, is just so good. You can hear it just pop. It's so sweet. Love this knife. Dead centered. I mean, the absolute build quality here is insane. I mean, this is just top-notch build quality. I really have no downsides to this. This is number 3. Yeah, number 3, 154 cm. So that's the winner of the 500 plus whatever category for knife of the year. So now what I want to do, because I'm going to do my knife of the year video next, and that's going to basically take the winners from each category, pit them against each other, and we'll see who wins overall knife of the year for 2022. But I wanted to put a couple honorable sort of mentions, as in some of my favorite knives that I bought this year. Maybe not that came out this year, right? But knives that I bought this year that I think are absolutely fantastic. So basically, they're not going to count here towards anything because they're not new knives, but I wanted to kind of just put them out there. I received these knives this year, I should say, because some I didn't buy, and I'll explain. So the first ones I want to talk about are the Jacob Creates Chickadee. I was going to add a fixed blade category and do a best fixed blade of 2022 category. But let me get the other one off my belt. Carry one almost every day when possible. I will carry one either on the belt or in one of these clip sheaths from Oak City Leatherworks. Absolutely love this knife. This is the Jacob Crade's Chickadee. Very small, little fixed blade. These were sharpened by my buddy Kyle Coonley. If you guys ever need sharpening done, hit up Kyle. He can do it for you. I think it was like 15 or 20 bucks a knife. And he absolutely crushed it. This is a non-mirrored working finish. Sorry, it always cracks me up because they're fucking mirrored as shit. And it's an interesting knife because I'm not a fixed blade guy, and most people know that probably. But I've just come to love this knife for its size. It's just such a small knife, but it fits in my hand extremely well and is very usable for the little tasks that I need to do with a knife like this. So having one of these on my belt at all times or in my pocket makes it to where I rarely get stuck in the situation where I'm like, oh, where's my knife? Because what happens a lot of times, and you guys can sound off in the comments and tell me if you have a similar situations, but I'll carry my knife, say, you know, this Delica right here, and maybe even have two knives on me, right? And I'm at my desk and I'm working, and I kind of fidget with it like this. And then I set it down. Set my knife down. I get a phone call, whatever. I set the knife down. And then all of a sudden I get up to go downstairs or go wherever, and now I have a package or a letter or something I need to open. And it's like, oh, let me grab my knife. I don't have it. I don't have, my pockets have nothing in them because everything's sitting on the desk because I was sitting there playing with it. That's when this comes in, because this is not a fidget toy. This is always in my pocket or on my belt. If it's being carried, it's on me. It's not sitting on the desk, right? And so there's so many times where I'm like, ah, shit. And then I'm like, yep, chickadee, pop. Pull it off my belt, do whatever I got to do, pop it back in, good to go. Yes, it's small, but it's mighty, if that makes sense. No, I don't want to process a whole chicken or, like, you know, cut a bunch of fruit with it, but I can if I need to. And it mainly is to help me open Amazon packages and shit like that, right? And it does such a good job at that. So I love the Chickadee. This one I picked up at Blade Show West. This is the Salt Lake version, and then I kind of got this Oak City Leather Supply slip to go with it. Boom. Let me just make sure. Get it in right. I don't know if that squeaking is because I now have like a good edge on it. It's sliding through the leather and making it sound. That's really what I think is happening. I'm trying to be careful not to damage anything. There we go. And if anybody's wondering why I leave it out a little bit like that, it's so I can grab it. Because I've seen people who push it into like here, and then you have nothing to grab. So it's like, how do you get it out of the sheath? You have to like pinch and like, it's annoying, right? Why not just put a little bit less into the sheath and then you can get it out? I don't know why. It does feel a little bit farther out than I want it. But let me just check these other ones. No, it looks about right. Yeah. It's a drop point blade, really beautiful. I'm waiting for him to come out with the Warney. This is the one I got second. This is yellow G10. I'd like to get some kind of micarta for this one, and something would work with this, you know, maybe red or whatever would work with this sheath. I know he was selling some micarta scales, so maybe I'll look and see. I don't love the blue or the yellow G10, but it works. I got this one off my buddy Ev, who had it. You just see. Yeah, that's just kind of how they all go. And that squeaking sound is definitely the edge sliding. And then I got the root beer float version. This is probably my favorite one now, just because I love this freaking sheath that's with it. And I love this colorway. It has this sort of paper micarta or something. It's a very dense micarta, I'll say that. It almost feels like G10, but it's cool milling lines in it. And it's got a bead blast blade instead of being hand ground like these two. They're all magna cut. And what's funny is the stock gets the stock gets thicker as you go. So like this one is the thinnest, that one's the thickest, and then this one's like in between. It's easier to see if I hold the blades up, but I kind of just put them all away. I'm gonna call it here. But that's the Chickadee from Jacob Creates, and I absolutely love it. So I wanted to give it a shout out here. The next one, there's actually two that I want to call out, and these are Backlocks. So Colin got me this for my birthday, I believe. And Colin Mason Pierre, my partner on Divo Knives. This is a Spyderco Native 5. And this is the fluted carbon fiber version with S90V blade. And then he had it reground with this beautiful belt satin. And it's like stupid thin. And then you add to that, I mean, it's solid as a rock. And look at this. Swings down. I mean, it's just a phenomenal knife. And it's just breaking in more and more. And I'm kind of liking that about Backlocks. I can't do it on camera, but I love having the knife just drop like that. And I kind of like slow rolling them out. I mean, listen to that hit. You know, it just sounds cool. So I really like this knife. Not perfectly centered. That always bugs me, but I feel like Backlocks are kind of like slip joints where you don't get that. And that brings in the Delica here. This is a newer knife to my collection. But this is the Lynch Northwest Delica Mod 2. It's like a custom Delica. They took a pink scaled S30V Delica with the blacksmith finish, I guess. Doesn't look like they did anything to the blade because it has all the Spyderco markings. But then they take titanium scales, backspacer, clip, and they kind of just create a custom knife. And it's still breaking in. I've got the washers sort of breaking in. I got it pretty tight because I don't like blade play at all. I hate blade play. So I have no blade play. And I'm trying to get it centered. I've got it almost dead nuts. Basically the way it showed up, if you watch my unboxing, really close to centered. It's very finicky when you mess with the screws. This screw right here really messes with your action if you tighten it down too much. And then that's the pivot, obviously. And it's just a washer knife where you got to be more gentle. I'm just waiting for these washers to break in. But I've learned to kind of one-hand it like this. Just close it like that. I do that. You can shake it. If I'm not on camera, it's a little bit easier. I just kind of push, shake down, and you're good to go. You can flick it if you really try. Like that. Same with that one. But breaking in, and I'm just kind of enjoying the backlock a little bit. You guys saw another backlock in the 100 to 300 range, the CM Knife Designs Best Tectonic. So I have 3 backlocks in my collection that I really like. And I think that's cool and it's fun. And I can carry this one and the Tonic left-handed. This one's righty only because it's, you know, the Lynch mod one. One downside to this, I feel like the clip is kind of, like it sounds good, but the retention is not that great. And I think it's just because look how much of a gap there is there. You know, I don't know what it is, but love these knives. Really excited about them. All right, honorable mentions. I always try to have a Malibu in the collection. Really love this one. This is a green aluminum CCKS, I believe, exclusive one. This is 18 of 60. I've had a bunch of Malibus, a bunch of exclusive ones. This one's my favorite by far because of the detent. They found a way to get a really good spring in there, and it really fires. I mean, it feels like a legitimate detent, and I like that. So this Malibu has stuck around a little bit longer than most, but we'll see. There's probably going to be a pretty big purge coming up, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, fires really well. Get that mother of pearl button, and it's really nice. So that's the Malibu. Love that one. And I got a couple of Jaegers this year. So I got the Brittany Blue Camo Carbon one here. I've got Mokutai back spacer. It's got the belt satin blade. I've got the multi-row skiff bearings in it. And it's a sweet knife. I just took it apart and cleaned it up because I loaned it out. I got it back and it had like crazy lock rock and just felt weird. I could feel a little bit of movement like this, but it's not nearly what it felt like when I got it back. But there's definitely some up and down. I don't know where that came from. But the action's good. Fires well. It's got a pretty strong detent. Pretty close to center, a little over to the clip side. Fires out really well. Has that nice sound. I'm tempted to sell one. I have two. So I have this Fanatic Edge version with the golf putter milling, the blue hardware, and the Timascus, I think, or Zircutai clip and backspacer. Same blade. This one has zero movement or anything, and it's just a little bit better all around on action. Detent's a little softer, but not soft. Like that one, this one's a little strong, honestly. So I may move on from this one just because I don't know how long I'm going to want to hang on to two Jaegers. I do really love it. That's bothering me a little bit. It's really not. See, if I hold it like that, nothing. So I think it's not lock rock. I think it's the lock bar just flexing a little bit. Yeah, see, it's only there sometimes. If you hold it like this without touching the... So I don't think it's an actual issue. I think it's more in my head. But I have the two Jaegers, and I really love this model. It's just a fantastic knife. These both came out this year, but the model had already existed. And let's see. Anything I already talked about in a previous video, I'm not going to show, obviously. So it already got its honorable mention status. I think the last one here we'll talk about is the Urban EDC F5.5 and this blacked out and G10. And this one, literally, just because it surprised the shit out of me. I didn't even want it. I wasn't even that interested. And then Urban EDC was like, hey, would you want to, like, are you interested in the black G10 one? You know, it's coming out soon or whatever. And I bought one. I paid for it. I bought one and I was like, yeah, you know, I'll show it off. And, you know, it's great and all, but like, it's not something I would want to keep or anything. Right. And then I got it, and I fell in love with it. I don't know. The way Riot finished the G10, it basically might as well be my Carta. Like, it's really smooth and feels good. The D10 on this one is basically perfect. It glides shut like that. It's got skips, of course. Fires, and it just doesn't have an obnoxious PVD. It almost has what looks like a tumble to it. So it's just a really good piece, and I love the F5. We all know that. Another one I got this year is the all tie version with a hand satin. Another one I didn't expect to like fall in love with, just because, you know, hand satin. But I did, and I love this knife. And then I was able to snag a Lynch deep carry clip to go with it. That's fucking amazing. I love that clip. So the F5 had to be mentioned because this was knife of the year for me for 2022. And it is still kicking, guys. Still a badass knife. This might have the best action out of any F5 I've handled. Like, it just, oh man, it's so good. This one's right there, but it's just not quite as guillotine-y as that one is, or drop shutty. Has a little more weight to it, but I love this knife to death. I really do. So I'd be remiss if I didn't show it off. So there you go, guys. That's some honorable mentions. And, of course, Knife of the Year for the 500-plus category, the Craig Brown Knives FSD Mini. Just bonkers good. So let me know what you guys think. I love you all. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you Later.